my friends Mike and Beth, and I want to welcome y'all to the third episode of our still unnamed podcast. Except wait, hold on to your horses, guys, because our Babby podcast finally has a name, and it is Tiny Town Radio!
Yay!
Yay!
Woo! Beating out our runner-up name, Gumbo and the Shack Boys, by a few hairs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
No, it's no big deal.
I know you were gunning for it.
I sure was. Tiny Toon Adventures Town is also good.
But we settled on Tiny Town Radio because, well, Beth likes tiny things.
And so does Mike.
Yeah, and so does Mike. And we like the towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
us.
guess we're a radio, except not.
We're not a radio station, nor are we tiny.
Yet.
But we are a town.
We are town.
We're being 1/3 truthful.
1 out of every 3 things we say is truthful.
Oh no, is this a riddle?
No, this is fact.
Yeah, Goombo and the Shack Boys was just a 3-way lie. There's no Goombo, there's no Shack, nobody's boys. It didn't work.
But yeah, that's us. We are officially Tiny Town Radio. Woot! So we have scratched the surface of today's topic in past conversations. Let's just dive in. It is our favorite animes, which I'm so here for, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I have been all up on that anime ever since this quarantine started.
Oh yeah, no better time.
I'm dipping back into it. I'm reconnecting with that 15-year-old, 14-year-old in me.
Okay, so like on a scale from 1 to 10, how much of a weeb would you consider yourself? Let's say 10, or let's say 1 is like, what is anime? And then 10 is like, there is nothing but anime.
Maybe like a 3.5 or a 4. I know that sounds low, but I've like not seen a lot of shit that you're supposed to have seen if you like anime.
Ooh.
So you're thinking that there's a certain amount of series that you need to watch before you can crawl up the weeb scale?
I guess. In
Okay,
a weird
that's
way.
fair. No, that's fine. How about you, Mike?
Well, Beth stole my answer, but I feel like if Beth is a 4 or a 3, maybe I'm a 2, because I'm definitely not competent in anime. I'm not baseline 5.
All right, cool. Yeah, 3 to a 4.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, I would probably be a high 7 to an 8.
You think?
Oh, boy.
I think so. Reason I'm a 7 to an 8. I studied Japanese for several years because I got so into anime in high school.
That's the dictionary definition.
Well, okay, so I studied Japanese too. I don't know if I'm not good at it. Does that me also not being good at it bump my weeb level up?
Well,
Yes.
you lived in Japan, so you had like a legit reason.
Again, does that bump my levels up though? I feel like you've got like transcendent weeb actually lives in Japan.
Weeb ascended weeb.
By accident. Just by association.
Those points are stacking.
I think the intent is what counts for the points.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and so there it is. There's my shame, you guys. I studied Japanese because I was so into anime, and then I fell in love with Japanese and how like so structured it is. But then I also did have like wall scrolls and posters of random characters up on my walls. And my friends and I in high school, we would go to the Asian district on the weekends, and we'd hang out at those manga cafes that had like the little boba tea shops on the bottom floor. And then you go upstairs and you take off your shoes and you can like read all the mangas that they have there.
I mean, that honestly sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've also attempted to join the anime club a few times.
Oh, man. I think that's the day that my weebness ended, or that I let go of it, was I joined the anime club, and I realized I didn't have what it took.
What it took to be an otaku.
Yeah, I was the outcast of the anime club.
So you were a decent, upstanding person, Mike.
I guess so, Maybe it was their loss.
And that's why I stay at a 7 to an 8, not progressing anymore. because I was so turned off by Anime Club.
Oh.
By the people that were also part of the Anime Club?
Yep. I joined a meeting, I saw what was on the boards, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to join this club.
Okay, so I like that we've established the 8 and above. That's joining Anime Club and sticking with.
So I'm happy with my score. I get pretty excited over anime, but not to the point where it's like my clothing and my pillows.
Don't lie about all your waifu pillows.
Yeah, you don't have to impress us, Denise. Your webcam's on. We can see your waifu pillows.
That was a secret. I will say though, I have had those body pillows. Just thankfully there was nothing printed on them.
Ooh, that was a long pause. That was a pregnant pause.
That almost took me to a 9, but no, there was nothing on them.
Denise, what if they're temperature activated ink? You gotta snuggle up real close.
Or liquid activated.
Oh my god.
Oops.
This call back to the creamy episode.
Cream activated.
This is going places. I don't know if I'm weeb enough.
Yeah, there's that anime club locker room talk we were talking about.
All right, we're suspending the creams. No more creams.
Beth, you're being awfully quiet here. Were you in an anime club?
I don't even know if we had an anime club. The people in my high school might have been in that club, but I don't think it existed.
Oh man, all of them?
A big handful, yes.
I like that it's simultaneously, like we're at the point in our lives where it's simultaneously a point of shame and pride to just be a big old dork. It's like, yeah, I was a weeb, or no, I kind of wish I was more of a weeb.
I stopped watching a few series that I feel like I should not have stopped watching because I think I would have really enjoyed finishing them. And now that I'm older, I don't have as much time to watch anime.
Yeah.
Except that's a lie. I will make time to watch anime. So I've come full circle.
That's a big thing, is it's hard when you stop watching them because they don't stop making them. So it's like everything I fell off of is still going. I just have to catch up on 1,000 episodes. And so I never will. Like, I'll never know how One Piece ends.
Oh, that is rough. There are some series that I won't start just because there's like 900 episodes of it.
Yeah.
I think it's like even gotten to the point that it's just a like running gag, like, oh, we're stuck indoors for the rest of the year because of the pandemic. Well, you might have enough time to finish One Piece.
I've had people say, oh, you just gotta hang in there for the first 200 episodes. It gets good.
Just start at episode 200. Just get the TLDW.
I'm sure I've spent more time surfing through like Netflix's menus than the time it would have taken me to watch One Piece by now.
But Pokemon, I think, was the very first anime series that I watched. And also Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah, Mike would know about it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about weeps, I mean, if that counts, then yeah, I was ultra mega weebsy. I mean, I have like a binders full of Dragon Ball fan comics that I used to make. I had a series called Dragon Ball AA, which fit in continuity after Dragon Ball GT, and one of the main storylines is like beat for beat one of the Dragon Ball Super movies. Like the villain has the same motivation, Bulma has the same motivation. Like it's insane. My finger was on the pulse of Dragon Ball Z. I knew exactly where it was going.
Oh man,
that's kind of amazing.
It's insane. It's ridiculous, man. I loved it to the point where apparently, like some of my close friends, they said, yeah, before we knew you, we would call you Dragon Ball Z Kid, which even back then I was not thrilled. That was my reputation, I guess.
I feel like that bumps you up at least like 1.5 weeb points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's dedication to just a basic, easily accessible thing, because that's not a deep cut, but for sure, I mean, it was ridiculous, but for a very popular anime. Because that was my in for anime club, as I was thinking, oh, hey, we're all going to just be drawing manga and coming up with storylines and stuff. And they're like, no, we just kind of watched this. I don't know. I thought it was like an art club, kind of.
Yeah, anime club would be so much sweeter if you did stuff like that.
Isn't that the premise of Hands Off Aizuken? That is absolutely the premise. There's this kid and she wants to join anime club, and then she gets there and she's like, well, what is this? I want to actually make anime. And so it's just dictated a show, Denise.
Oh, perfect. All right, I'm adding it to my to-watch list. There you go. Yeah, I'm just going to Google everything that pops up today.
Beth gets a wee point for that reference. I've never heard of that.
I mean, it's new. It's new, though.
Yeah, it's a wee point.
Okay.
You got your finger on the pulse.
Is anyone keeping tabs on points? I'll keep tab on points.
Beth's at 5 right now.
Okay, Beth's at 5. Mike, you're at 6 right now.
Oh, yeah, for the...
Yeah, that Dragon Ball stuff, that puts you at a 6 for sure.
Push you over the top, yeah.
What am I? I'm 8? Is that me? Do I go down for not knowing what keep your hands off Izuken means?
Yeah, you go down. Everything is worth a point and minus a point.
All right, cool. Perfect. Let the games commence.
Let the games? Whoever the first to reach 10 either wins or is a big loser. I don't.
Both.
You get a body pillow.
You get a fight. Yeah, you get a creamy. Never mind.
Oh.
You get a gently creamed body pillow.
Help! Please don't be creaming on my body pillows.
We're talking about first animes that we've seen. The first one that I remember watching was Crayon Shinchan back in 1994. We'd moved to Japan for my dad works at Lockheed, and so he had 2 or 3 tapes that he just recorded a bunch of Shinchan cartoons on. That's the only camp where I'm in no dub, no sub, just because I've never understood what Shinchan was talking about ever. And just kind of getting it through context, what was going on. He would just take off his pants and shake his child wiener around, and I was like, cool, I'm also 4 years old. One of the other prominent animes on that tape was this thing called Tonde Burin, which is Super Pig. And it's this 14-year-old girl who just turns into a pig superhero. And I used to like it because I thought it was called Booty, but it's Burin. But the pig would also stick its butt out when it said Burin, so it made sense.
You were very well versed in anime, starting from the gates, Mike.
Yes.
A lot of butts and a lot of wieners.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, you got to appeal to your audience. That's all I knew back then.
Oh man, dubs versus subs is a whole other civil war that I don't know I want to be drafted into.
Oh, should we do it?
Sailor Moon?
Mm-hmm.
The dubs for it? Always super weird because they made those 2 outer planet sailors cousins when they were clearly a couple, and it just confused my child brain. I was like, why are they calling each other cousins? They're not cousins. They're touchy-feely. You do that with your boyfriends and girlfriends. I don't understand.
You're making it worse.
I'm getting so confused.
It's like the Dragon Ball Z. I think it's the Ocean dub. Instead of killing people, they would send them to the next dimension. So someone would just get hacked to pieces. Oh, he's in the next dimension. See you later. Bye.
But we have seen enough anime to compile a list of our favorites, yeah?
Yeah.
For sure.
I actually went on a kind of a spree. Name all the anime I can remember watching. It was very hard.
Yeah, it's kind of this list that I've got here, and now I'm gonna have to live pick what is my current quote-unquote favorite. I'm like, oh no.
Did you guys order yours at all?
No, definitely not.
I tried to, but it's probably wrong.
I'm gonna have to take some points off Mike if you get any of them wrong.
If I get any of my favorite anime wrong, yeah.
Mine is in chronological order.
That's impressive in its own right.
Yeah, I just looked up when they debuted in North America and kind of went with that. Oh, and if we have any overlaps, then we'll talk.
That's minus a wee point apiece if you match someone else's.
Ooh.
Pick the most controversial shit, guys.
Ooh, Rising of the Shield Hero. Sorry, I hate that anime.
I don't even know.
Nor do I. +1.
Okay, that's fine. I'll tell you later why it's awful. Top 5 all-time chronological order. I'll start off. Fruits Basket, the first series. One of my top 5 all-time.
Oh, were there multiple?
So the one that is currently in production right now is sort of like a remaster. A lot of animes, especially like long-running ones, tend to overwhelm the manga pace to the point where like that's why you get anime fillers, is to give the manga artist time to catch up and come up with new content. But for some animes, they didn't do the fillers. They just came up with entirely different ending for the series, even though the manga would continue and have different events happening.
So like a Game of Thrones?
Exactly. The current series that is in production right now, I'm also a big fan of, but this particular one is my favorite because I was a high schooler and I was going through that emo phase. I'm so sad, no one understands me. But at the time, I had been watching Fruits Basket, and the main character, Toru, has this mantra where she's always has to be smiling. Like, don't let anyone know you're worried. You must be there for them. You must always smile. And so I kind of adopted that for myself, and I'm now realizing, man, that's a really unhealthy way to deal with things.
Yeah.
But it worked, you know, for my high school self. I just forced myself to smile, just be like, oh, what would Toru do? Oh, she'd smile through this. So I did, and whatever. It just made me feel better. So.
Well, no, that's good.
Denise, I'm glad to see you've gotten over it, because every time I see you, you're smiling, assumedly for real. It's weird that I can hear glass cracking when you do it, but it's nice.
Also, Fruits Basket, just on its own, adorable and almost like Steven Universe in how much it makes you cry. Every episode, it's making me cry, and I love it.
I'll admit I've never seen it. I might have to. I love shit that makes me cry.
Okay, what about you guys?
The only thing on my list that I've finished is one season long, because as I said earlier, I feel like anime doesn't end, I just stop watching it. One Punch Man, I finished all of.
Woo!
All one season, and I loved it. I loved that it was funny in a not strictly anime. I mean, I guess it was meta, where it kind of poked fun at a lot of kind of anime tropes. It kind of made fun of Dragon Ball Z while just being animated like incredibly. Like, it looks better than the best Dragon Ball Z episode I've ever seen. But it's doing it as a joke, which I really liked. So it's just goofy.
No, absolutely.
I'm going to give you a weeb point for that. And also just the amount of Sakuga that it has is so good.
Remind me the definition of that word.
Hold on, I have it here somewhere in my notes. Oh God, where'd it go? Okay, Sakuga Animation is a term used in anime to describe moments in a show or movie when the quality of the animation improves drastically, typically for the sake of making a dramatic point or enlivening the action.
Right.
Oh yeah, they got that. They got that, and they got whatever the opposite of that is, when his face is two dots on a line.
Yes!
Do you guys mind if I segue off of this?
Go ahead.
I just barely watched it, but have you guys seen Mob Psycho 100? Written by the same guy, one. Mob Psycho does all of the same things. Like, the same praises could be given to Mob Psycho, and it's a absolutely phenomenal show, and I like it a lot. It's just doesn't fit into the category of first loves because I just barely watched it. But no, definitely recommend.
Oh, I will check. This is the same guy.
Yeah, same guy.
He has just no hair. Oh, he just has hair. Yeah, that's great.
The reason I could get into Mob Psycho more is like he's basically like this like average kid, but he has psychic powers. He's kind of a pacifist. He doesn't like showing them off. He doesn't like using them as much until like, you know, he's got all these emotions though inside of him. Each kind of like conflict in his life brings him closer to like 100, hence the name. And then like, you know, once that happens and like he just kind of like explodes psychologically. And you know, the animation on this is some of the best stuff I've seen.
I'm adding that to my to-watch list.
Same. And Beth, small side note for One Punch Man, which you just reminded me of. The first time I ever watched that show, if you remember when we were in Austin and I had that horrible pizza migraine day.
I do remember that.
Where I just was feeling like just so bad. Like I have not had a migraine that bad in forever. And you guys were like adventuring around the city trying to procure pizza to bring back.
Yes.
I think I just gave up and ordered some Domino's, and I was just like laying in the Airbnb bed on a laptop watching One Punch Man, and I enjoyed it so much that it cut through just my sickness, and I enjoyed it. And it actually kind of made me feel a little bit better.
That's amazing.
One Punch Man can heal?
He punched through your migraine.
Yeah, he sure did. So that he gets some extra points in my book for that.
Oh yeah.
There is nothing Saitama cannot do. Number 4. I have Samurai Champloo next.
The only part I remember, and if you've seen it all, there's a part where a guy goes, Gene.
Yeah.
Okay, my brother and I say that. Like, you just have something sticks for some reason, and I only remember that's from Samurai Champloo. I have no context for it.
It's a hip-hop and samurai crossover, which at first sounds absolutely bananas, but it's actually so good. And I believe it is by the same people behind Cowboy Bebop, which is why it's got like that swanky, funky style to it. Pretty sure there's only like 26 or 20-something episodes.
Ooh.
Nice.
It has a concrete ending. I don't remember the finer details of it. I just remember it being very good.
Dude, say no more. If you say something
Ends.
that has a definite ending and it's like only 2 seasons, that is how you sell me on something.
Yes. Oh my god. That sounds absolutely watchable.
Another major reason why it's one of my all-time faves is because of the soundtrack. Again, like, you don't see hip-hop and samurais anywhere else, like in other media, and it was so stylish, and it introduced me to one of my favorite artists. I don't know how to say his name. It's Nujabes.
Right, yeah.
It's so sick, dude. I would watch it just to listen to the tracks.
Definitely gonna have to put that on my list.
I'm all for this.
Are we only talking about series?
No?
Okay. Which I think like in high school, I first started watching Makoto Shinkai. The film that I saw first was 5 centimeters per second. And it's just a hallmark of his style. So very beautifully sad and contemplative. His stories always kind of like revolve around these feelings of like, loneliness and like the need or want to be understood and reach out in like a world that's kind of uncaring. I don't know. It sounds very, very bleak, but it's exactly my shit. It kind of like introduced me to the animes more than just Naruto kind of shonen style of things.
He also directed Your Name, it looks like.
Yeah, Your Name, he's gone on to do so many cool movies. That was just the first one that I saw.
Yep, it's totally up your alley, Beth. Things that make you cry.
Yeah. Like, if it can make me cry and I can watch it in a couple sittings, there you go.
Should we give you a weeb point? Because I have not seen that.
Nor have I. 1 weeb point awarded.
1 weeb point for Beth. Ding, ding, ding.
I was adding those to my watch list here. Okay, my next item is, again, I've seen maybe 7 episodes of this, but it's on my top 5, Attack on Titan. But I haven't watched it in like 5 years, but I thought that was a really cool anime.
Well, do you remember the last thing that you saw?
I mean, I don't know if spoilers matter here. I think the guy was one of the things. He was a Titan.
Just an itty-bitty Titan?
Oh, that was it. But
okay.
I was like, oh man, they've been building up this character and they just marked him immediately and I have nobody safe. What are they going to do here?
Oh, so it's like the Game of Thrones style.
It was kind of me getting back into anime. I had to power through the thing where people are just screaming so loud, just so dramatic. There's a bit in episode 1 where the guy's like apologizing to some guy's mother because they lost him to a Titan and he's just, I want to apologize. And like the screen wind is just going up because it's just to make it more dramatic. And I'm like, hey, come on, man. Like,
I can't imagine being an anime voice actor.
No. Yeah, just padded floors so you don't pass out.
Dude, imagine like the vocal coaches, like they must have to do so much prep to protect their voices.
It sounds like you're at Kim Jong-il's funeral and you just have to scream so loud so that you don't get assassinated. You have to prove how emotional you are. But I like it. It was a good show.
I like how 7 episodes. It was a good show.
It was, conclusively, the first half of the first season was a good. Okay, I now remember the reason I stopped watching it. I mean, this gives away my dub sub thing. I learned that they were like dubbing the first half of the first season and then the second half later. I prefer watching it dubbed because I just want to look at the animation because I'm not a good reader. I just like to look at the pictures. So I was waiting for the second half to get dubbed, and then 5 years passed, and I never went back to it. So it's ready now. I could go back and do it properly.
Okay, cool. Next one, for me, another shoujo series, but it's sort of in the same vein as Why You Like One Punch Man, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of subverts the tropes, and it is Over in High School Host Club. I think I'm saying that right. It is by Bisco Hattori, but it's on Netflix. It is also another short series. There's only one season and maybe like 20-something episodes to it. So at first I was completely turned off because someone called it a harem anime. I decided, I'll give it a go. I've got nothing else to do. I'm sick on the couch. Like, I'll just fall asleep if I don't like it. And I binge watched it for like the next 2 days because it ended up being so like tongue-in-cheek. It's a reverse harem where it's the girl who's mobbed by a bunch of beautiful dudes, but it still like subverts the tropes to the point where I'm just like, man, this is super cute. It's easy, it's fun, it's lighthearted, and really funny.
Nice.
Oh, man. Okay. Denise, this is crazy. I'm looking at it. I've seen a few episodes of this.
Yeah?
One of the things we would do at the office, which I wish we would do more of, we would take anime and put it on mute and dub over. Like, we'd all pick a character and just dub over that character.
What?
That sounds amazing.
Our mutual friend Godswill gave me hell for this, but we did it for several episodes of Hunter x Hunter, which is apparently good, but I only know the version where we talked over like 11 to 13 episodes of the first season. So I know...
That's amazing.
I know several story arcs of that story just through what we kind of made the characters say, and it's really fun because it's kind of on rails because the story's going to go where it goes and you just kind of adjust to it. And we did it for this show because the characters had different color hair, so it was easy to kind of keep track of who is who. I think that's the biggest qualification.
I love that. I love Godswill's horror at you desecrating Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, I brought it up on his and Josh's podcast, and they both jumped down my throat about that. They said, you go back and you watch it for real.
Oh, to be a fly on that wall, I would love to watch a mic dub of Over in High School Host Club. Where do I subscribe?
You gotta step into a time machine.
You subscribe to this podcast.
At one point, I think a drunk Dave sort of slipped in and just started hijacking people's characters, so we kept having to hop around. It's a good time, man. I'd love to do that again. That was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And while you're at it, also watch it undubbed.
Watch it for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, this is sounding a lot like Anime Club where we have to watch a bunch of shit.
Oh, but we make fun of it, so we're cool.
Yeah, just think of it as homework. It's fine. It's not club, it's class.
Oh no.
My number 3 is My Hero Academia, which I have seen maybe 20 or 30 episodes of, so I'm pretty, that's pretty impressive for me. I'm pretty much an expert on My Hero at this point.
I'll give you a wee point for that, just on the scale of how many episodes on average Mike watches of anime. That's pretty good.
He gets a mic point.
Yeah, I get an altered special. I'm in my own special little league over here. I got my short swimming pool that I'm doing laps in. It was pitched to me as, it'll make you cry. It's so good. You're going to be crying so much. And there's just that involuntary part of me that's like, man, I don't want to watch it now because everyone keeps telling me to watch this show and it's not going to make me cry. And I'm just sitting there waiting for like, oh, I bet that's what they were talking about. That didn't work. And eventually I kind of just got over that and I'm just watching the show and they're getting me into these characters and they're dropping little character moments and like I'm really bad with names in these. Floating girl.
Uraraka.
When she's talking about why she wanted to join the tournament and stuff, I'm like, ooh! I don't know. There's these moments that are earned just because you spend so much time with these characters, and apparently there's a lot more. So I'm excited to kind of get a better idea of what's out there. But at least for the 25 episodes I've seen so far, I'm a big fan. It reminds me kind of what excited me about anime and manga and stuff back when I was in high school. And they're really good at just building out the rules for their world and stuff.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I mean, the fact that they're able to like so gracefully handle such a large cast of characters and make you kind of give a shit about every single one of them, like, it's not an easy thing to do, so.
I'm here for this. I will say My Hero Academia is my number one on my list. Is it on your list too, Beth?
Like I said, I don't have a list of tops. I'm just kind of like pulling things out, but definitely like it's one of those things that like maybe I was one of the people who was like, yeah, Mike, it's gonna make you cry, but like it might have been mostly Godswill telling you that, but
no, specifically it was Godswill.
But I absolutely agree with that because like there was something just in the earnesty that Deku like just carries himself and like just how like wholeheartedly he strives to just realize his dreams, and like I don't know, there's just something so like pure about that. It just like makes me like I can't help but to like shed a tear over that.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because it is that's every anime. Every anime is a guy who's not the best, but who will do anything to try to be the best. But there's something about the way that it's all these elements that I thought would be kind of derivative, I guess, but there's just something about the way they do it that I really like.
To everything that you just said, thumbs up. I agree completely. I'm completely caught up with it. It's got the superpowers and the amazing action. It was a surprise to know that it wasn't just about Deku and Katsuki and All Might, but yeah, it was like the entire class of 1A. It's so easy to just paint a villain as a villain or a bad guy as a bad guy who will never change, but especially in this past season, Horikoshi knows how to handle these characters, and it makes you want to cheer on everyone. Everyone who's on screen, you're just like, you're the main character now. Let's hear your story, because it's going to be amazing. Which is why I think it's my number one. I don't think I've felt about an anime like this in like over a decade, so.
Oh man, that's high praise. Because there's so many specific moments that I want to speak to, but I also don't want to ruin any reveals, because I don't know, they're very well earned in the show, and that's a lot of the enjoyment.
I hope I didn't spoil anything for you, Mike. I don't think I did.
No.
Oh, you're in for a ride. Oh my god. I might just rewatch the entire series.
You just laugh me.
Yeah, I'll just be like, bye. Hi, Mike. Bye, Mike.
Going off of this in terms of like just you like every character, this is a show that I recently got you to start watching, Haikyuu.
Oh, yes.
Which is a volleyball anime. And I never envisioned myself as a sports anime watching person. Not that I had any preconceived notions, but I'm like, how interesting maybe could that be? I'm not super into playing sports myself, so I didn't think, there'd be a lot of relatable stuff, but man, was I wrong. And it's another one of those shows where each character, you kind of like learn about each one, and they're very fleshed out and well motivated, and you kind of have to like root for all of them. Like, I don't know, it's like watching an actual sports game. Like, you're rooting with the characters as you go to their matches, and I definitely recommend it for anyone who maybe is on the fence about trying out a sports anime, because I really like it.
So I'm only 6 episodes into it. I mean, I told you this, Beth. Everyone is cinnamon roll. Like, how do I love you all already? My children.
They just know how to get you hyped. It's good, and I like that that's all it is. It doesn't, a lot of anime is just like, the world's ending, or, oh no, this is causing this great war, or whatever. And like, I just like how maybe normal and low stakes this is comparatively, but once you're in it and you're watching them play all these big games against like people that they've been training against like for so long, the momentum and the energy is the same as Attack on Titan fighting these huge beasts. Like, you're just rooting for your favorite boys. Let's see, I guess my next one is a weird one, or not weird, but like kind of like different than all the rest. I really liked Devilman Crybaby. It's not wholesome. It's absolutely not wholesome. And it's very short. It's only 10 episodes long.
Which means we're gonna watch it.
Starting off with the hooks, which is really interesting. There's a lot of like deep symbolism in like the imagery they show. I don't know. I'm lame, and I'm a big sucker for discussions and like analysis of thematic elements after shit. There's so much content to deep dive into with this one. it contains one of the scenes that I think I've reacted to the most viscerally in just like what the fuck kind of way any show that I can remember off the top of my head recently.
I don't know if that excites me or scares me. You're not usually rattled.
The characters are kind of ugly to look at.
Drawing was?
Yeah, the drawings are very not pretty, but like the world that they inhabit isn't a pretty one either. So like the premise of the show is like that the world has become infested with these like devils that take on the form of other humans and then they like kill and murder and eat them.
Wow, yum.
But then, you've got your main character and he becomes like, he's kind of like half and half, like half human, half devil. And so he's trying to kind of fight against the devils that are taking over. And it's really interesting, like how people are changed into these devils. And it's through like being led astray or through like drugs or sex or like, vices. One of those shows that like it's only 10 episodes and then you just kind of watch it and like once it's over you're just like, damn, what did I just see? Like what does that all mean? And it kind of like just sits with you. Yeah, I won't be horribly offended if you're like just turned off by it completely because it's not a pretty watch, I guess.
Well, I've been warned.
My number 2 is Death Note. There's just something about it. Like, I'm not even really a huge detective, I guess, crime thriller type of person, but something about just the mythology of it and just how, like, the meticulous sort of planning and back and forth kind of...
it's almost like a chess game.
Yes. L and Light getting into this battle of wits, and you're with it every step of the way. I was all about it for a couple of years. I think I read up to the point where people say it should have ended. Like there's kind of a conclusion to, like a big, what you think the whole show is about. And then apparently it spins off into some weird directions that I haven't followed up on that.
So did you only read it or did you watch it?
I read it and then I watched up to the point that I read.
Okay.
So there's this, I think I watched a couple episodes beyond that. So I was kind of in that slow rut of them setting up whatever the next act, I guess, was going to be. And I had already kind of had in my mind, I'd had my conclusion. I'd been like, okay, that's who wins. That's the ending of this. And so I don't know if it gets better. I don't know if it goes off the rails or if it's worth continuing.
Denise, did you watch it?
No, I read way more in the manga and I stopped because like the stakes got too high for me to the point where I was physically feeling anxiety as I read it.
Just too tense.
It was just too intense to the point where I'm like, I can't continue. I have to put this down and go read something lighter.
The part you're talking about that, Mike, I think that's where, would have been a good place for it to leave off. Because after that, like, you do get an ending, but like, I don't think the series was any stronger for having that continue on.
No, it's a movie. It's like, I feel like, yeah, that point where they should have ended, that is a movie, and it's insane to me that Netflix movie couldn't do that story right. I feel like that goes beyond culture. It's such a simple story. I mean, it's a complex story, but it's such a simple premise. I feel like you could do that in any country.
Well, yeah, like why couldn't, like, and this is spinning off, and I know we've had this conversation right when that Netflix adaptation came out, but why couldn't you just take the premise of a killer notebook and then put it somewhere and just run with that? You didn't have to like try and, oh, here's all these people, but they also are weirdly kind of like have Japanese, like, I don't know, it's just
Kira and like Shinigamis and like, yeah, I can see that. Like, I think if you just have this MacGuffin of just this, here's a book that does this, and there are definitely like detective kind of elements of it that you can carry over, because like Denise said, it is really high stakes.
Yeah, like just like an alternate universe could have played out so well, but they just took all the worst parts of everything and just completely botched it.
God, especially getting Willem Dafoe as Ryu. He was perfect. He was a little rose in glass, Beauty and the Beast. He was like the best part of that thing. He was just isolated, perfect casting, surrounded by a crazy, weird movie.
And also the weird casting, what's his name? Sorry to bother you.
Oh, Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, like, I don't know, you could tell they were having him overact in like every single shot he's in. I felt so bad because, man, he's such an incredible actor.
I think there's a version of that where of the directing or the script where he could have done a great job there. It was just kind of near the end where they were having him get really over the top and kind of crazy and overacting. See, I mean, there's a version of a great movie, even just with all the pieces they had, I think. I was such an apologist for that when it was coming out. I'm like, it can be okay. It can be good. It can be good. I couldn't, like, Dragon Ball Z is something that would be really hard to do live action. The Death Note is just people and a book and a flying monster.
Yeah, and then you have your weird Death World that you can, like, blow your CG budget on that. And then, yeah, it's just VFX some floaty killer dude. Like, they could have done something great.
What it needed to be is absolutely a series, because there's so much that you get from just those cliffhangers and building upon, just building and building and building on the tension and the one-upsmanship. I think it would have been a great limited series.
I much prefer limited series over extended TV series and movies. It's like that sweet spot where you're with the story long enough to get invested, but then it comes to a conclusion that makes sense because it's planned.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason I read Ultimate Spider-Man the moment I learned Spider-Man dies. I was like, cool, all right, I'm in. I got a first, I got a last, I can do this.
Spoilers!
Okay, sorry. Whenever you start reading Ultimate Spider-Man. But I was like, okay, but this is the one where he dies. This is the one where there's a beginning and an end. And that's where Miles Morales comes from.
Which brings us to our last ones. And so far, we've only had one overlap, which is My Hero.
Whoops.
All right, so my last one was my favorite anime before My Hero came along. It is Soul Eater by Atsushi Okubo. The mangaka himself says he was greatly influenced by Harry Potter and Tim Burton, which pretty much sums up why I am so in love with it.
I've heard of it. I've not watched any of it.
It has like a yellow chompy face on it, like a circle. That's all I know.
It's on Netflix. It is kind of a mid-length. It stops at 51 or 52 episodes or something. I feel like the anime is so strong in the first half and kind of peters out in the second half. It is another super stylish anime where the world is so imaginative and so fun that you just can't help but be drawn to it. It's got a very like creepy but humorous, macabre, Halloween-y feel to it. There's a specific room that they show in the series that the characters come back to, and it's like this jazzy red room with a demon who's playing the piano and he's wearing formal attire. And I don't know if you guys have seen Twin Peaks, but that scene literally lifted from Twin Peaks and animated.
Oh.
Can they do that?
That is canon in my head. It is so fun. The soundtrack is also super good. I'm realizing that Samurai Champloo and Soul Eater kind of have those similarities in that they're like very stylish, very fun to watch, and also very fun to listen to. If you guys want to give it a go, I would say watch the first 3 episodes because those are the hooks. I'm noticing that the animes that are on my list, I actually have pop figures for.
That's the threshold for getting on the list.
Are they really on your list if you don't have a pop figure of them?
Yeah, am I really a fan if I don't own merchandise?
Have you actually gone to a convention?
Do I get weeb points or do I subtract weeb points for admitting that?
You get one per pop filter, for pop figurine for sure. Yeah, I get -1. I couldn't even name what those are.
You lost 1 mic point.
Back to none.
To none. I'm not even myself anymore.
You're just a sort of weeb.
I can live with that.
That sounds awful. Don't live with that, Mike.
Okay.
Fight.
I was planning on just keeping smiling, no matter what, but I'll. Who's this, Beth, now?
Let's see. Number whatever, because it doesn't matter. A show that I think is really strong, which, again, is another limited series. It's only 2 seasons and has a very definite ending. Code Geass. So the premise of this show is that the European Union, known in this world as the Holy Empire of Britannia, like they basically come in and occupy Japan. High school student comes across like this weapon, basically, who gives him the power of the gods.
Oh.
He can make anyone do anything once. And so he aims to kind of like rid their occupation, just rises up in power as like a rebellion figure. There's also lots of big giant mechs. It's a lot like Death Note in that there's lots of calculated chess moves going on. I mean, he's also very good at chess in the actual show, so it's one part of the show I like is that his best friend, instead of joining the main character's side, chooses instead to join with the military and try to make changes for the better from the inside. Best friends to enemies to friends again kind of dynamic, which is cool.
I love the concept of it. That sounds like right up my alley, just like high concepts.
The battles are cool. The characters, they all have their motivations, It gets kind of political. I mean, I guess as far as political as like Death Note gets.
Right. Same. I got a lot of stuff to watch. I have a lot of stuff to watch a little of.
All right, Mike. What's your last one?
It's Dragon Ball. It's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I was thinking, where's Dragon Ball Z in all of this?
Yeah. I mean, Dragon Ball above Dragon Ball Z, just because of the kind of sense of adventure. It's just got that, like, montage, kung fu. Like, Goku was always getting beaten up, but every time he met someone, they would just beat him up. And he would just, like, even Krillin, when he met Krillin could beat him. And, like, they just kind of, I don't know, like, maybe Krillin couldn't completely take him, but he would edge him out. Like, Krillin could train and do something that Goku couldn't do, and he would have to kind of rise to meet that. And they were, like, competitive. When he met Yamcha beat him up. When he met Tien beat him up. Like, it was just exciting. Like, who's he going to meet? Who's he going to have to train to get better than? And it was just a constant Karate Kid, like, adventure. You're just getting better and better.
Who's he gonna have to beat up to become his friend?
Yeah, exactly. Every single person who's his friend, he beat up at one point.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time. I was being nice to people I wanted to make my friends.
No, you gotta beat them up. And so I think where Dragon Ball Z and like Super kind of fall off is, I think it's just the inevitable, it's like Superman, he's in his like 80th season. It's like you just have to keep topping how strong someone is in perpetuity. So like I think the last Dragon Ball Super movie I watched, they were literally punching holes in the fabric of the universe and fighting underneath lava, and it's just there's no room for growth because you've won. I mean, Frieza was like the first Dragon Ball Z bad guy because he destroyed Goku's own planet, and he did it with one finger. So it's like, okay, nothing matters anymore, but it's cool.
When they introduced Majin Buu, that's when I fell off and lost interest.
Yeah, no, I think that's when they were holding a gun to Akira Toriyama's head, and they were like, "Hey, just keep going," because he ends it with Goku being killed by Cell, and that's the end. That's the end of Goku's story, and they're like, "You're not done with this yet, so you better bring him back down with a halo." And honestly, man, I think that was the perfect sort of send-off. I remember the first episode I saw of Dragon Ball Z on Adult Swim was when Cell was like Cell in his first form. I turned on Cartoon Network, and they were panning across all these clothes littering the floor, and Cell was just this gross-looking monster who was sucking this dude's body out of his body, and the guy's like, "Oh!" and he just his clothes, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is terrifying." I couldn't look away. And, they do the thing, next time on Dragon Ball Z, and I'm watching the next episode and nothing happens. And then I watch the episode after that, nothing happens. And for some reason, I want to keep watching it, even though.
They give you like a centimeter and you're like, yes, give me more.
Yes. I don't even know who these guys are, but I want to see this weird monster get beaten up. But yeah, no, since then, I don't even know that I've seen all the episodes, but I went back and read from Dragon Ball, all the manga, so I'm a big old Dragon Ball boy.
Me and my brother were big fans of it. I think that was one of the things that we bonded over. There was a period in our time when we fought a lot, and we would set traps for each other around the house. Long story. But we bonded over Dragon Ball, and that was when we became, like, best buddies. Okay, that, I don't know, is it a synthesizer? Is it a pipe organ? Or whatever, the music whenever Goku would fight Frieza is just a mess of like keys being mashed, and me and my brother would mash our fingers on the air, pretending we were playing the score.
That's crazy.
Wow. That's funny that you guys bonded. You stopped fighting to bond over
where they were fighting.
No, we were like, why are we fighting? Our fights look so boring compared to their fights. Like,
I also like the idea that the show is basically, it's like an intergalactic wrestling match where it's just people showing up from out of the universe or out of the galaxy and being like, I won't destroy your planet if you can beat me up. Like, it's just scrapping. You know what I mean? Like, they've got spaceships and they just get out of their spaceships to blow up the world with a pinky. I got anime to watch.
Yeah, oh my god. I literally have like 10 tabs of animes that I'm just like, okay, I gotta watch this in the next week somehow. Some way. Thanks for listening, guys, and thank you too for joining me. So until next time, if you'll excuse my weebness, mata ne.
See you next time on Tiny Town Radio.
Tiny Town Radio.
Tiny Town Radio. Tiny Town Radio.